Hi, I'm Brandon. I love AMC Plus Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise AMC Plus Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso, and Vince Vaughn has ruined Christmas again. And this
is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Alonso is out here acting like Fred Claus and Four Christmases aren't minted classics. Classics.
That is exactly how I'm acting.
I think we all know how I feel about those movies.
Have you seen Four Christmases?
Yeah, I love Four Christmases.
The nativity scene in the church in Four Christmases made my stomach hurt. I was laughing so hard. The rest of that movie have no tolerance for whatsoever. But that scene's great.
The only thing I remember from Four Christmases in a positive way is Katie Mixon. It was the first time I'd ever seen Katie Mixon in something. And then she was in Hell or High Water. And then she had her own ABC sitcom, American Housewife. I think she's hilarious.
Katie Mixon is great.
And
that movie is garbage.
And that's this week's edition of Alonso and the IMDb's.
But also, Hell or High Water. No, Hell or High Water is a great
Amazing movie.
So good. Like Taylor Sheridan written. I can't remember the director, but really good. That's not a deep cut.
No. It's just I appreciated the Four Christmases to Hell or High Water to her own ABC sitcom.
I'm pretty sure Katie Mixon was in a Danny McBride show or movie early on that I saw her in, but I could be wrong on that.
Probably. That rings a bell.
But now I'm looking.
But no, I think she's amazing. I can't wait to see what she does next. But I hope it does not have anything to do with Vince Vaughn or Christmas, because yikes.
I think you're amazing.
Love you.
But then also Peter Billingsley's name is on this too, and he's hit or miss.
Yeah, that means something.
Yeah. Anybody see Couples Retreat? Anyone? Okay. No.
I did. I did see Couples Retreat. I actually, in my brief time writing reviews, I believe I wrote a review for Couples Retreat. You can find that out there on the internet somewhere.
Who'd you write reviews for?
It was a Christian website.
Yeah.
Oh,
did you tie in?
God, I hope not. I certainly hope not.
Man,
I asked them to get rid of that right now.
Come on, sleuths, get on that. Couples Retreat, Daniel Thompson review. That's got to come up, right? Well, while you're doing that, let me talk about Christmas with the Campbells, in case those of you out there didn't watch it. It originally premiered on AMC Plus on December 2nd, 2022, and it went a little something like this. Jessie is a photographer, and she's taken some family Christmas pictures. Her passion is photography, and her boyfriend's name is Sean. Sean could not be less supportive. She's completely oblivious to him being the absolute worst, and that makes it worse when he tries to break up with her while they're just walking around in a very magical Christmas light village. It was very nice. If I was going to get broken up with, I wouldn't mind it being there, because at the very least I can keep looking at the Christmas lights. That's just a little insight into how my brain operates. So they break up, but she gets a call from his mom, and it's like, hey, you should still come spend Christmas with us. Sean's not going to come. You should go ahead and come. So off she goes. And so she goes, and it's kind of weird. They're weird. Everybody's kind of weird, but I don't know if they're supposed to be. I don't know. So one morning she sees a random dog. The dog's name, the dog comes in, and a guy named David is like, oh, that's my dog. And he's their nephew, and he is also weird. And they hang out for the day. They have quite the time talking, looking at stuff. It's great. At dinner, the family discusses the wishing tree. This is a town tradition where a giant Christmas tree is hidden somewhere in the forest. And they say, this is what the rumor has it, rumors, whatever the Alonso song was, that if you go there, you make a wish, And as long as you don't tell anybody where the tree is, your wish will be granted. So Jesse and David, they're really hitting it off. They even go to a dance together. But when the family is playing Pictionary one night, Sean shows up and is shocked to see Jesse there. The family is shocked to see that Sean has showed up. And so they talk and they agree that she can stay and that everything will be fine. David goes to bring Jesse to the woods to take some pictures, but his dog runs off, and so they're trying to find the dog, and they end up finding the wishing tree, and obviously the dog shows up. It's classic dog magic Christmas. Sean is, they make wishes, and it's wonderful. Sean is talking to David, and is like, I'm thinking about seeing if she wants to get back together. It's nice being back home. Maybe I'll come back home. Maybe we'll end up together. It'll be wonderful. And David's like, wow, I was thinking about asking her to take some pictures for my brochure. And Sean is like, nah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. So Sean, it gets announced at the big Christmas lights, what would you even call it? Reveal. They do a Christmas light show every year.
Of course.
That Sean is going to be moving home to work with Dad, lying about taxes, and it's going to be great. And so Sean goes up and tells tells Jesse, hey, I would love to be with you, and you're going to come back here, and we're going to be together. And he kisses her, and it's like, I want a future with you. Obviously, David sees this kiss, and it's like, I'm out of here right now. And Jesse's like, I need to think about this a little bit more. The next morning, Jesse, who has thought about it a little bit more, says, I do not want to be with you. I do not see a future with you. This takes Sean by quite surprise. Quite surprise. So she finds out that David's not going to be spending Christmas with them at all, and so she decides that she's going to go back to the wishing tree to say, hey, I didn't tell anybody where you were, and yet my wish is not coming true. I guess that's just the way things go. But obviously the dog comes running up, and David also comes running up after the dog, and she tells him that she did not kiss Sean back, and is like, I don't want to be with him. In fact, I find myself falling in love with you. And they both say, hey, guess what I wished for? And then vice versa. And they end up kissing. It's wonderful. And then because I guess we needed it, Sean also gets a happy ending. So that's good. And there's some snowmobile riding to finish this whole thing off. And that, my friends, was Christmas with the Campbells.
We did.
That's exactly right.
I got to be honest. It took the double deckers who are watching live, RainbowJamPlus.com, less than 10 seconds to find my review of Couples
Is
Retreat.
that ChristianAnswers.net?
I need to make a couple things clear, because they've also said if you click my name, you can see all the reviews I wrote for that site that apparently still have them up. And you need to know, one, you need to hold nothing against me from when I was 25.
ChristianAnswers.net.
Second of all, you need to understand that I was required to write about content issues in the movies, and not just the movie itself.
It's like plugged in.
Yeah, but they gave me a lot more freedom than Focus on. I would never write for Focus on the Family. Even at 25, I wouldn't have. But I did say Couples Retreat. Unfortunately, between content issues and the fact that the movie just isn't that funny, Couples Retreat falls woefully short of what it could have been.
Wow.
So I do stand by most of that sentence.
How about that?
Yes.
How about that?
I did it.
What else did you review on ChristianAnswers.net?
A lot. For 2 years while I was just working jobs that were kind of mindless, and during the middle of the night, I wrote for that website. That's true.
Is ChristianAnswers.net still fighting the good fight?
Apparently, they email me once a year or so and ask if I want to come back and write reviews, and I'm like, no. I wrote a review for Avatar.
Okay.
Inglourious Bastards. Flight. Denzel Washington, which I talked with Alonso about last
Content
weekend.
issues.
I've written probably 40 or so.
Okay.
I don't know. Please don't waste your time. Please, guys, at home.
I got my weekend.
No, 100%. Everyone's wasting their time.
Duralde reading it at all. I can promise you that right now.
ChristianAnswers.net is going to be like, why do we get a weird spike? Only on Daniel Thompson
That's right.
reviews.
Did Daniel die? Why is everybody clicking?
I
on
will
it?
say
Why are so many people reading the couples retreat review?
I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, which I think is a little high.
Generous.
So there's that.
Fair. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk about how many stars we're giving this movie here on Tag the Hallmark. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking about Christmas with the Campbells, a movie that I was aware of during the holiday season, and it was on my I'll get to it if I get to it list. Didn't get to it. Now we have gotten to it. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm going to go to you first, Alonso. I know it was also on your I'll get to it if I get to it list. I don't think you got to it either. So I'm happy that we both did. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this one. What'd you think?
Ooh, boy. Great googly moogly. This movie is trying something. I'll give them that. Basically, what happened here is they've hired a Hallmark veteran director, Claire Niederprum, whose work includes Christmas, Scavenger Hunt, among others. And they got a script from Barbara Kimlicka, who did Winter Castle.
She's done a ton.
Oh, a ton. Like, absolutely knows, the ins and outs of this genre backwards and forwards. Amazing Winter Romance, I know, a favorite of y'all. A Cheerful Christmas, another favorite of all of us. And then basically Vince Vaughn and this guy, Dan Lagana, went in and wrote boobs every few pages. And it doesn't work. Like, if you wanted to do a parody of these movies, you would need to go way further, I think. And you could do a parody of these movies, but no one has quite nailed that one yet. And so what you have here is closer to, did y'all ever watch that Lifetime movie that Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig did?
Yeah,
I did.
You're dead on here. I watched it. Go ahead, finish. But yes, I did watch that.
A Deadly Adoption with what's her face from Christmas at Pemberley Manor, I think was the evil
Jessica Lowndes?
Jessica Lowndes, yes, is the surrogate mom in that one. And the joke was, we're going to do a Lifetime movie that is as close to a Lifetime movie as humanly possible, but the joke is that it's Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig doing it with utter sincerity.
Yeah,
right.
And it was a fun idea, but after about 20 minutes, you're like,
Bingo.
okay, so this is just going to be a Lifetime movie then.
Yeah.
This movie is, in a way, like the platonic ideal of the Hallmark movie in terms of the plotting and the pacing and the characters and all that stuff. And then just every so often, like, someone will talk dirty, or like the parents will take drugs or something. But like, if you watch this movie with the sound off and no closed captions, you would never know that it wasn't just a Hallmark movie. So it's like, I don't know if they don't commit to the bit enough or they commit to the bit too hard, but the bit is just not worth having done.
I have a feeling we're all going to be in that same ballpark. It was there are parts of this that are very funny, and I could, anytime Justin Long wants to do a Hallmark movie with his Southern accent, I would watch it. But yeah, it's just kind of. It is hard because it's just all over the place, and it switches up the tone left and right depending on what the scene is calling for. Like, you have these scenes at the wishing tree that are straight out of the one Christmas movie that I really liked that everybody else hated.
That's When Calls the Heart.
No. When they go out into the forest and there's the tree.
Good God.
Where the lady texts the dead boyfriend who went out for ice.
Oh, yeah, that Christmas Promise.
Promise.
That's a terrible movie.
But then, there's like the over the top, like sexual conversations were just like weird. For really no reason, like, just like, I don't know. It really didn't seem to serve much of a purpose to me. The parents having a drug problem, I did find humorous, but it's just kind of the way that it is. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do the paint sniffing. I'll cut it off after, and then that's just it. There's no real ramifications. It's just a funny, haha. Here it is. So overall, fine. Like, it was a thing, and I think it was okay, but it isn't checking all the boxes on what I think. I don't know what the perfect parody of these is, because like even Christmas movie Christmas, like kind of lost its footing along the way a little bit too.
It became serious.
It became serious, like a little too serious. So I don't know what the perfect one of these. I don't know if it's possible, but this most certainly is not it.
It's very funny, Alonso, that you mentioned A Deadly Adoption, because I had written down Casa de mi Padre, which was the Will Ferrell Spanish language film where everyone in the movie, a lot of them are just white Americans, but they're acting in this telenovela and speaking full Spanish. And I felt like that movie, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, everything they say is a stitch, and it's really funny. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's nothing really under the hood.
There's
here.
no next level.
Yeah, this is it. And so it did make me appreciate Christmas that was on Up TV with Brent Doherty, because that movie felt as though it was going somewhere. And did it become sweet at the end? Yeah, but like that movie has more like genuine laughs than this movie does.
And everybody in that movie was playing within the same guardrails.
That's right.
Where everyone in this movie is not.
But it had the feeling that a lot of this stuff on paper worked in the writer's room really well. Like they're sitting around and they can't stop laughing at George Wendt and what's the actress's name?
Julia Duffy.
George Wendt and Julia Duffy discussing like and treating purple drink like it's a wine, like a fine wine. Like I'm sure in the writer's room they were like
saying it out loud.
Like,
funny.
Yeah,
funny.
but then you get it on screen and it just kind of sits there and you're like, it really felt as though everyone was at a different level. So, like, for as naughty as the movie wants to be,
naughty,
Brittany Snow needs to be that nice. She needs to be that cheery and that like through the roof, over the top spoofy. And she's not. She's just kind of like, okay, well that happened. They said that. Let's move along. And so it's like it's an untuned guitar that no one's quite where they need to be, and it just unfortunately, aside from a few zingers that did like provoke me to laughter, but the problem is you don't really have any wait what's in a movie like this, because everything is designed as a skit. Like every scene is its own skit. Like you said, there's this huffing paint thing with George Wendt, and then it's like there's no like. They have people come home and decide whether to stay or leave, but the plot is just a lot of plots together, so they can have one skit after another where they try to basically create a Vince Vaughn R-rated comedy on top of a Hallmark Christmas movie. And I was just as bored as I am when you realize that you're watching a TV Christmas movie and you've seen it 1,000 times and they're not going to deviate. I was just as bored because there wasn't anything that they were doing consistently and like leaning in and really making work for the full time. So really boring actually after a while.
I ended up being more confused with Brittany Snow by the end of the movie, because I still don't know like if she is like, what was she playing? Like, I think it's does she realize that he is the worst or not?
But they like, what is, she gets sexually harassed in several scenes in this movie, and it's like either she has to be completely unaware, and that doesn't play well, or she has to know, and that doesn't play well. So they have her just kind of not react really at all to it. And like Alex Moffat is great at being a D-bag, and like he made a living on SNL doing it. And then Justin Long is really like, he's the best part of the movie.
So funny.
But it never really gets everyone on the same page, and it just kind of is bleh.
Yeah, like if she had been basically the Amy Adams character in Enchanted, who like operates as though she's in a Hallmark movie, but everybody else is in, the reality. But everybody's got one foot in and one foot out.
Right.
And
I couldn't tell if that's what she was going for or not. So that's unfortunate. Let's get to the feels. Any feels?
A lot of board fields. I'm with Dan. It's the kind of thing where like they're going to absolutely follow the playbook, so you're just waiting for somebody to like talk about sex or drugs or something to kind of like zip things up a bit. But that's kind of all this movie sort of has in its quiver. I mean, my feels were that I would have kind of liked to have seen an actual Hallmark movie with this cast.
Yeah.
Like if you had gotten, somebody like Zach Hugg or Julie Wolfe, writing a movie that had a sense of humor to it, but that had more than one joke to it, which was, what if we did one of these movies, but occasionally spicy? I was making that movie in my head and during all the moments where I was bored out of my mind. Always great to see Julia Duffy, big fan of hers all the way back to Newhart, obviously, and George Wendt is a legend. And yeah, the three leads are funny and capable of better work than what they're given to do here.
During the movie, I did a deep dive on Purple Drink, the Wikipedia. An interesting read. So there you go.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try it at home. That's my big takeaway.
I ended up saying it in the hot take, but I do think the only one fully invested and understanding of what was going on here was Justin Long, because he had like a character he was playing,
right?
Where everyone else was just like, let me hit these jokes. Even those two, like Duffy and Wendt, who are pros, I felt like they even weren't really fully invested in what was going on here. So I did get a few chuckles out of Justin Long in this movie, but that's really about it.
Let's take one more quick break. We'll come back at the Wait What and the...
It's going to be a short episode,
AMC What Happens. I don't know. Here on Dead Dog. A lot of people like to make their purple drink with Sprite.
With Sprite, yeah, of course. And that's Sprite and cough syrup?
And cough syrup.
Yeah.
It's got lemon.
Yeah, and you put a little a Jolly Rancher at the bottom of it.
At the bottom of it, a little something.
Yeah, this was all guys. I heard of purple drink. I didn't really know what the
sounds disgusting.
Does Martha Stewart have a recipe? Because I think she would really nail the flavor profile.
I'm sure she would
elevate it at the very
least.
She
would.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would. Well, let's talk about this. The Wait What's, as we talked about, might be tough. We'll see what happens, but everything is a joke. So how do you handle this? Well, let's find out. Alonso, any Wait What's?
Yeah, there aren't any, because I think, for one thing, the movie plays it so safely that, I mean, it does mostly kind of make sense. Nobody does anything really ridiculous. The movie doesn't take any wild plot swings the way these films often will. But yeah, also the fact that it is all meant to be kind of parody negates the idea of things not making sense. So I mean, for me, the Wait What is this entire production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I get the idea of like, what if we make a movie that looks, smells, and sounds exactly like a Hallmark movie, but we make it R-rated, but they do so sporadically and in such a way that doesn't quite fit overall with the tone of it, that I wondered at what point, because I could totally see where like if you're you take this Hallmark script and you're goofing around with it and having fun with it and thinking, oh, this is going to be hilarious. At what point during the production were they like looking at dailies or on the set or whatever and going, oh, this isn't, we thought this would land better. It's not. All right, well, keep going. We gotta finish this thing.
It strikes me as a movie that individual scenes, depending on how they shot it, they could have finished the whole production and thought it was a banger. Because there's these individual moments that I think worked in the writer's room and they think will work on screen. And I think the problem is it just, they don't realize how flat the movie is by the time they get to the hometown. It's already flat. By the time they get to the hometown, it's already like, we're done. We're done with this. Make it funny. Like, make it actually funny, not just dirty. Like, make it funny too.
There's a reason that sketches are like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, there are more laughs in that actually cut for time SNL Hallmark parody, the one with James Franco,
correct,
the Canadian handsome Chris Bearstick, than in this entire movie.
Fair.
Yeah. And occasionally SNL will try to make a sketch a movie, and every once in a while those work, but most of the time it's a disaster. So this should be no different.
So how much purple drink was Mom planning on drinking? Because it's a whole pitcher, which and Aaron pointed this out and I agree, having a full pitcher sitting, even if it's on a tray in the middle of your bed, you're asking for trouble. It's not something I would do. That seems reckless. I like to take precautions, like, putting liquids on a solid surface that doesn't shift.
Yeah.
But that's
Roll
just
of
the way
paper
that
towels nearby.
that's just the way that I live life. But I guess and you're
Why
about
do you need it there? Why can't you have it on the nightstand?
That's what I'm saying. Listen, this is reckless behavior.
Yeah.
You're about to drink a drink that literally the nickname is lean, and it gets you all tipsy turvsies, and then next thing you know, you got cola everywhere.
You got cola.
You got cola. You got pop everywhere.
Yep. And you make a picture like that grape soda's going flat.
Yeah.
So unless you're entertaining, like you really don't.
There's no fizz left in that.
There's a chance they had already had some. That's the only explanation.
Yeah.
It's the only explanation. This photographer takes pictures of all sorts of things. People, scenery, etc. The one thing she doesn't take a picture of, even just for her own personal collection, is the wishing tree, which I found to be such an interesting choice. I know the whole thing is you're not supposed to tell anybody your wish doesn't come true, but just hold that puppy back just for yourself. You got a tree in the middle of the forest decorated to the nines for Christmas. You take a picture of that sucker. You gotta.
One of the few times I did laugh in this movie was seeing the wishing tree. I did find that's funny. That's funny. I don't care what anybody says. That place is a secret. It's decorated completely fully. It was great.
My last one is all throughout this movie, Dad is like got a handful of lights like in his hand. He's untangling them. And just like, I got to get this done. We got the big show. The random untangling of random lights with no like real plan will never produce the show that we saw. That is not a show that is just all like, all right, just throw them anywhere. It'll all shake out in the end.
When it's all timed, it'll be great.
Christmas light nerds are like starting in March and being like, I'm going to put this here. And it's like very elaborate. It's not like, just throw it anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Where's the computer that he is using?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And I get it. It's all a joke. Don't email me.
Email Bran at deckthehallmark.com.
You don't get humor. You don't get the joke. Go ahead, Dave.
Why didn't you like The Flash? You just didn't understand the multiverse. Those are Alonso's emails, by the way. We're not getting those emails. Those are just...
the DC people been getting at you?
DC people mad at you?
The DC fans are so lovely. Nothing but just supportive and caring. Really, the top notch.
See, just like this movie, that also is a bit. I had one.
Did The Rock email you? The Rock email you?
I had one, and the one that I had is that the Alex Moffat's character loves to play Monopoly, or as he calls it, Anopoly. I guess they don't have the rights to say Monopoly.
No,
I don't know.
It made me laugh.
Yeah, I know it did.
Monopoly.
But my problem is that we see over the course of, I believe, an hour, 2 people go bankrupt and 2 people play until one of them wins. And I'm sorry, I don't care how much of a spoof it is. Monopoly takes years to play a game. You're not showing up when it's already dark outside and getting a game of Monopoly in before the sun rises.
That's a whole winter break situation.
Yeah, look, we had a marathon, and Alonso was there. We didn't finish a game
Alonso's
of Monopoly.
still mad we didn't finish that game.
4 people played to one winner.
I had you all in the palm of my hand.
Yeah, no, I was coming back. The idea that 4 people played to a full-fitting conclusion of a game of Monopoly was not possible and not spoofable. No, it's a no for me.
It's time for AMC What Happens.
Okay.
We're still working on it. It's where we talk about any questions that we still have. Alonso, what are you still wondering about?
Well, first of all, where did Jesse and Sean live in the first place? Because I assumed it was New York, but then he said he was going to New York for a job interview, and I'm like, oh, then where are you now?
Yeah, it didn't look like New York.
So that was the big question that I had. And then also, like, are we meant to understand that he wanted to marry Jessie, but was clearly planning to cheat on her with the baker? And now that he's gonna maybe marry the baker, who's he gonna cheat on her with?
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair.
One of the things that did make me laugh in this movie is when Sean gets home, he like is talking to his dad. He's like, you gotta do the run the numbers, and he like winks at his dad. I'm like, that's fun, that's interesting. And then by the end, he's like, they're making an announcement. We cook the books for everybody in this town. We cheat on taxes, all this stuff. This can't last forever. This can't last forever. And bringing Sean on, he's a little bit of a loose cannon. I imagine that this is all going to come down to a crashing halt at some point. Everybody in the town's going to be up the creek without a paddle. I hate to see that. But how long does it last before he goofs it all up? That's what I want to know. Dano?
I want to know very little more about any character in this movie. I do. My question after watching this was, can this be done well? Like, I know that sounds like a dumb question, but like,
that's a great question.
Can a spoof of TV Christmas movies that is like purposefully R-rated, like be done like excellently? Because if you told me Vince Vaughn was doing this and helping write it, I would say that that's as good a chance as any. And the cast is great in this movie, and it still is really, really bad. I just feel like it's almost like TV Christmas movies are so ripe for parody that they can't be parodied. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me.
I think there's a way to do it, but I don't think making them dirty is the way to do it. There was one a couple of years. You all, I think, had the director on the show, and I've forgotten the name of it now.
Yeah. I was just thinking about this. I totally forgot about that one.
It was a very low budget movie, but like, when you think about Airplane, which I think is sort of the kind of ultimate example of like, how do you
Police Squad, Naked Gun,
all the ZAZ stuff, where you take a genre. And so I think the key here is not to make it like, not to inject the real world of relationships and sexuality into it, but to just be in a very straight-faced way, take it to the limits. Like, that's the joke. The joke isn't like, in Airplane, the joke is that you have, these sort of stone-faced, non-funny guys of yesteryear, like Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack and Peter Graves, just taking the inherent tropes and plot elements of a disaster movie and just pushing them into the realm of absurdity. And I think you could absolutely do that. These tropes are so strict in these movies that you could push them, I think, just not push them into the easy joke, R-rated, haha, we're going to have sex because they never have sex in these movies place. But another extreme, and I think it could be done. I just think the methodology here is all wrong.
Robert Stack, a distant cousin of mine, so my grandma told me.
Wow. How about that? So, Holly and the Hot Chocolate did it almost. It's close.
That's as close as I've seen.
Hall at the Holly.
Hall at the Holly is a excellent spoof of Hallmark movies that has its cake and eats it too. But
for sure.
to your points, like, I remember crying, laughing, watching Leslie Nielsen be so serious in these movies. And I think for me, Brittany Snow, like, being more of a of a Hallmark actor would have really helped here, because she is very talented. And in this movie, I felt like she didn't know what to do. So
I mean,
there's that.
I think with a better script, there are Hallmark people that we know, that we've seen, that we know understand how these movies work, but they understand them to the extent that they could also goof on them with a straight face brilliantly, and I think that's how you would have to do this movie. You would have to get these talented actors who can embody these movies and completely sell you on these movies, but who in their heart of hearts understand what these movies are and what the limitations of these movies are and could have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Man,
we did do it. Hard-hitting discussion. Up next, we got Your Christmas or Mine over on Prime.
Oh.
Excited to dive into this one.
Heard good things.
It's almost Christmas in July. We're almost to the end of this.
No, it's just beginning.
It's just beginning.
It never ends.
It never ends. All right. Until next time, I'm the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea.
What?
For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.